October is a busy time for wine growers in Germany's Rhine-Hessen region. At 8 in the morning, Simone Adams makes her way to the grape harvest. Two viticulture students from Italy are assisting her. It's going to be a tough day, but that's normal during harvest time. Simone Adams does everything by hand. It's painstaking work, but the 33-year-old thinks it's necessary to ensure a high-quality wine. That's why the grape harvest plays a decisive role. Simone Adams tells us the harvest season is a time to give thanks. But it's also stressful. The grapes have to be picked very carefully because you only get one shot at harvesting them for making wine. One mistake, she says, can impact the whole year because the wine will be sold all year, maybe longer. So it would set everything off course. Southwest of Frankfurt lies Germany's largest wine-growing region. For a long time, it was notorious for cheap wines. But that's now changing, thanks in part to a new generation of wine growers who are focusing on quality. Simone Adams inherited a 9-hectare vineyard from her father. Here, she grows mainly red and white Burgundy grapes.
Hier schneiden wir jetzt die faulen Trauben raus, weil wir nur perfekt gesundes Lesegut haben.
You have to cut off any rotten grapes, leaving only those in perfect condition, she says. With these grapes, you have a long mash period. That means the grapes will be left standing longer before they're pressed, so they have to be perfectly healthy. It takes Simone and her helpers around 6 hours to do one vineyard. Not every wine grower is willing or able to invest that much time. Especially when there's another way. A grape picker can harvest an entire vineyard in half an hour. With this method, there's no possibility of removing rotten fruit. But if the overall condition of the grapes is good, machine harvesting won't affect the quality. The driver explains how the process is steered by computer using a joystick. Businesses are constantly expanding, he says, which means there's more ground to cover. Using machines makes it much easier. Not all winemakers process their own grapes. These grapes are on their way to a winery that buys up fruit from the entire region. Every few minutes, a tractor arrives with fresh grapes. This cellar in Lonsheim is one of Germany's biggest wine producers. Wolfgang Trautwein is the owner-operator. His contract growers deliver around 500,000 kilograms of grapes per day. That can be stressful. Trautwein says these days there's no time to be nostalgic about the old winemaking methods. He and his team work around the clock to process the grapes as quickly as possible.
Wir haben kaum Luft zum Atmen und versuchen so schnell als möglich die Ware zu verarbeiten.
And that can happen only with the help of computers. Specialized software determines where the growers should drop off each different variety of grape. Computers also control the flow of grapes into the pressing machines, where they're turned into juice before being pumped into large tanks. Wolfgang Trautwein spends much of the day going back and forth, consulting with his engineers. They regulate the temperature, liquid levels, and the fermentation process taking place in the containers. Florian Vennersbach is one of those responsible for the tanks. He and his colleagues have to keep track of millions of liters of grape juice, a task that would be unthinkable without the help of technology. If we didn't have this technology, he says, we wouldn't be able to process such a large amount of juice. The technology is essential to do this kind of work at high speed. Simone Adams, who's a qualified agronomist, monitors the whole process in the old-fashioned way. After spending the entire day harvesting grapes, she spends the evening in the wine cellar. She says being up close at every working step is part of the charm, and that it's better than pushing buttons. The next day, Simone Adams is on her own again. She's putting labels on the bottles that her assistants forgot. And she's proud of the labels that were specially designed.
Zunächst, wenn man auch noch unbekannt ist, aber trotzdem Anspruch hat.
If you're still relatively unknown, she says, but you want to produce something of high quality, it's important that the first encounter with the product, in this case the label, is somehow exciting. That way, people will easily recognize the wine in the future. The personal touch is very important to her. And that's why Simone Adams sometimes takes it upon herself to deliver wine to regular customers who live nearby.
Super, dass du da bist. Hi. Nora. Ich helfe dir erstmal. Komm mal mit. Neue Lieferung.
One of those customers is Nora Breyer, who operates a high-end restaurant in the area. Her guests demand quality, which is why she only serves them a select range of wines.
Das könnte sein.
Vielen Dank.
Schau mal her. Und das finde ich ein bisschen.
Auf dein Wohl.
Auf Gläschen Grauburgunder.
Genau.
So eine leichte Himbeere.
Breyer says there's a hint of raspberry on the palate that's very unusual, and there's an herbaceous note there too.
So fast verschlossen auch in der Nase.
Der Endverbraucher will heute das Gesamterlebnis.
Nora Breyer explains that her consumers want the total experience of wine. They don't drink wine just for the sake of it. They want the whole story that comes with it. By contrast, at the Trautwein winery, the main source of income is wines produced for the mass market. The 2013 vintage is ready. Next week, it will be bottled, and the week after that, it'll be on the shelves, says Wolfgang Trautwein. He says he's very satisfied with the taste, which is young and fresh. Thanks to technology, he adds, the time it takes to turn grapes into wine has been massively reduced. Supply has to keep up with demand, which is especially high for affordable wines. These days, wine is an everyday item, he says. It's a part of any good meal. And it's in high demand, especially at an affordable price. And so, every day, countless trucks carry thousands of liters of wine to be bottled. Meanwhile, the grape growers continue to drop off a steady supply of fresh produce. But not just anyone can deliver their harvest here. The growers have to meet strict standards. Wolfgang Trautwein has had contracts with selected wine growers for many years. His business model has a range of benefits. He explains that an individual operator would find it difficult to keep up with market demands. His winery serves as a link between growers and commercial traders. It's a safety net that ensures the survival of small vineyards because he provides grapes for the wider industry. Simone Adams prefers to do things her own way. For her, it's better to take an extra trip through the winery, making sure everything is just right. She uses a special device to check that the grapes are at the right stage of maturity.
This
attention to detail is one of the things she likes about the job. She says she doesn't plan to expand her business too much in the future. She'd rather maintain a small but well-cared-for plot of land that bears her own signature. Whether they choose the high-tech path or the traditional one, German winemakers are aiming for the perfect result.